Okay, God designs the world. It's magnificent, it's perfect. You're naked, you're walking around, there's no worries. You don't have to go to work on Monday. There's not even a Monday. It's fantastic. He also creates the serpent. The serpent comes around and tells Eve, listen, it's not death, it's wisdom, and you want wisdom. The result of this wisdom is embarrassment, shame, worry, concern. They get kicked out of this life of total amazing awesomeness. That's no more. Now you're way over there, and guess what? It's going to be miserable for you. And that's episode 1. Moving into episode 2, we're going to read Genesis 4 through 6. Genesis chapter 4. Now the man had known his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have acquired a man with Hashem. And additionally, she bore his brother Abel. Abel became a shepherd, and Cain became a tiller of the ground. After a period of time, Cain brought an offering to Hashem of the fruit of the ground, and as for Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and from their choicest. Hashem turned to Abel and to his offering, but to Cain and to his offering he did not turn. This annoyed Cain exceedingly, and his countenance fell. Hashem said to Cain, Why are you annoyed, and why has your countenance fallen? Surely, if you improve yourself, you will be forgiven. But if you do not improve yourself, sin rests at the door. Its desire is toward you, yet you can't conquer it. Cain spoke with his brother Abel, and it happened when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Hashem said to Cain, Where is Abel your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? Then he said, What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Therefore, you are cursed more than the ground, which opened wide its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. You shall become a vagrant and a wanderer on earth. Cain said to Hashem, Is my iniquity too great to be borne? Behold, you have banished me this day from the face of the earth. Can I be hidden from your presence? I must become a vagrant and a wanderer on earth. Whoever meets me will kill me. Hashem said to him, Therefore, whoever slays Cain before 7 generations have passed, he will be punished. And Hashem placed a mark upon Cain, so that none that meet him might kill him. Cain left the presence of Hashem and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. He became a city dweller, and he called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methuselah, and Methuselah begot Lamech. Lamech took to himself 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the second was Zillah. And Ada bore Jabal. He was the first of those who dwell in tents and breed cattle. The name of his brother was Jubal. He was the first of all who handle the harp and flute. And Zillah, too, she bore Tubal-Cain, who sharpened all cutting implements of copper and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, Hear my voice, wives of Lamech. Give ear to my speech. Have I slain a man by my wound, and a child by my bruise? If Cain suffered vengeance at 7 generations, then Lamech at 77. Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and she called his name Seth, because God has provided me another child in place of Abel, for Cain had killed him. And as for Seth, to him also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. Then, to call in the name of Hashem became profaned. Genesis chapter 5. This is the account of the descendants of Adam. On the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them, male and female. He blessed them and called their name man on the day they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he begot in his likeness and his image, and he named him Seth. And the days of Adam after begetting Seth were 800 years. And he begot sons and daughters. All the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. And Seth lived 807 years after begetting Enosh. And he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years, and begot Kenan. And Enosh lived 815 years after begetting Kenan, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Kenan lived 70 years, and begot Mahalalel. And Kenan lived 840 years after begetting Mahalalel, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years, and begot Jared. And Mahalalel lived 830 years after begetting Jared, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. And Jared lived 800 years after begetting Enoch, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Jared came to 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. Enoch walked with God for 300 years after begetting Methuselah, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch were 365 years, and Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more, for God had taken him. Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And Methuselah lived 782 years after begetting Lamech, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, "This one will bring us rest from our work and from the toil of our hands, from the ground which Hashem has cursed." Lamech lived 595 years after begetting Noah, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass, when man began to increase upon the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of the rulers saw that the daughters of man were good, and they took themselves wives from whomever they chose. And Hashem said, "My spirit shall not contend evermore concerning man, since he is but flesh. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephillim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of the rulers would consort with the daughters of man, who would bear to them. They were the mighty, who from old were men of devastation. Hashem saw that the wickedness of man was great upon the earth, and that every product of the thoughts of his heart was but evil always. And Hashem reconsidered having made man on earth, and he had heartfelt sadness. And Hashem said, "I will blot out man whom I created from the face of the earth, from man to animal, to creeping things, and to birds of the sky. For I have reconsidered my having made them." But Noah found grace in the eyes of Hashem. These are the offspring of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. Noah had begotten 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, the earth had become corrupt before God, and the earth had become filled with robbery. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupted, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth. God said to Noah, "The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with robbery through them. And behold, I am about to destroy them from the earth. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make the ark with compartments, and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you should make it. 300 cubits the length of the ark, 50 cubits its width, and 30 cubits its height. A window shall you make for the ark, and to a cubit finish it from above. Put an entrance of the ark in its side. Make it with bottom, second, and third decks. And as for me, behold, I am about to bring the floodwaters upon the earth to destroy all flesh in which there is a breath of life from under the heavens. everything that is in the earth shall expire. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall enter the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And from all that lives, of all flesh, 2 of each shall you bring into the ark to keep alive with you. They shall be male and female, from each bird according to its kind, and from each animal according to its kind, and from each thing that creeps on the ground according to its kind. 2 of each shall come to you to keep alive. And as for you, to take for yourself of every food that is eaten, and gather it in to yourself, that it shall be as food for you and for them. Noah did according to everything God commanded him. So he did. No, Adam and Eve will not get the Parent of the Year award. It's not going to happen. Cain is their son, and he gets the privilege of being the first murderer, and he kills his brother. Abel brings an offering to an altar. He buys into it, so he says, I'm going to bring the best, the most beautiful. He brings it to the little altar. Cain, again, he got the same message from mom and dad. Maybe he's really not buying it. So he sort of brings some stuff. And God turns to Abel. Abel does well. Cain is jealous, is angry. God comes up to him. He says, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is sin. Don't do these things over here. Instead, do these other things. You can do it. You can defeat it. Cain says, okay. Oh, yeah. No. Murder. This is the way. And so he meets his brother Abel in the field, and that was that. God comes to Cain and says, yeah, I know what you did. You're out of here. Cain says, whoa, this is going to be hard, God. So God shows this guy mercy. He says, you know what? 7 generations you're going to be. Go. When that time's over, this guy Lamech, he accidentally kills him and says, oh no, in my innocence, for 77 generations. So this is interesting because on one hand, it tells you that this guy Lamech knew that there was a 7-generation thing with Cain. So this is something that had been spoken of. But he recognizes his own innocence. He says, well, if this guy was guilty and he got 7, I'm innocent, I should get 77. And at that time, if you have the guts to say Hashem or God, then that means you are vulgar. It is profanity to call on the name of Hashem. Nephillim, who are these giant humanoids, mighty men of war, they are the ones who set the tone. It's a tone of violence. They're described as being the men of devastation. So God says, whoa, no. We're going to shorten this thing down to 120 years, tighten this thing up. They don't get the message. And despite people just dying off at an earlier time, I mean, they're talking about 900 years as a lifespan. Now it's 120, 130, whatever. Noah is, in God's eyes, the only man who is righteous in all of this whole area. So God says to Noah, build a boat. These animals, they're going to come to you. Put them in the boat. Get the food for you and your family. Listen to me. I'm going to flood this place out. And he does it. So obviously Noah's looking around. He knows the misery and the filth. He sees it. And he says, yes, I'm going to listen to this other voice and this makes sense to me. Okay, so we've got somebody here. What is it that they get from being so evil that God has to say, reset, where's the reset button? Flush the toilet. This is interesting. This is also the end of the NQE episode 2. That was a terrible way to end, but we're done. So we'll see you next round.